Namaskar. Hello to everyone, dear friends and students. In continuation to our previous lectures on concept of drishti, concept of abhishand, now in that continuation, today I'll be taking one of the subject matter of Shalakya Tantra, PUYALSA. That is exemplary. Actually, what I mean to convey through this lecture, that how the innovative method of learning and innovative method of teaching in Shalakya Tantra can help us in better understanding of the subject, where most of the literature is given in one श्लोक only, एक सूत्र में दिया गया है, और वो भी एक पंक्ति का एक रोग का वर्णन हो गया. In one line description of one disease is there. And when we go for the treatment, then only there is an indication about the line of treatment and no further explanation is given. So, how to understand the Samudravat Agad subject of Shalakya Tantra by such an indications given by the ancient seers, the scholars and the scientists of Ayurveda system of medicine. So, I am giving you some of the tips, the methodology, how you can understand this subject matter, where it is given in a very short and concise form. For example, the disease I have taken for the explanation is PUYALSA. This is one of the Sandhigat Roga, Netra Sandhigat Roga, where it happens in Kaninak Sandhi, and description is only in one line. And same disease in Bhagavad Samhita is again given in one line. Okay? And to understand this, what I propose, first of all, we must analyze the nomenclature of the disease. If we analyze and really understand the real worldly meaning of the name the disease is given, you will understand many things. Then see the subject matter of that particular disease in all relevant texts of Ayurveda, concisely, comprehensively, put them together. Also consider the concept of the commentators, what commentators say on each of the description given in a respective text. Then take the help of the contemporary medical science. एकम शास्त्र में ध्यानो ना विद्यात शास्त्र विनिश्चयम. And by putting all these things together, then think it to present in a systematic manner and then explain. I think if you follow this methodology of explanation, then you will understand the things much better. Let us come up with the example of PUYALSA Netra Sandhigat Roga. The word PUYALSA is made up of Puya and Alas. All of us know about the Puya. It is the necrosed dosh dhatu mala or koth janya sthiti, and Alas means nischala, gatihina. There is one disease in Bhagavad Samhita, Alasak, I used to read in BMS first year. This is Ajiran Janya Rog. Prayatino urdhvam na adhastada aharo na cha pachyate amashyo alsi bhuten so alsaka smrita. So this Alsak disease is related to Anna in Amashya, where it remains in a lazy state in the stomach, neither it comes out from the mouth nor from the lower GIT tract, and that disease is known as Alsak. Here in PUYALSA, same thing applies, where the Puya is stagnated remain in one of the cavity in the inner canthus, near the inner canthus, and it remains there for a longer time, and the disease is termed as PUYALSA. Where does it get stagnated? So that have to be understood. In the samprapti of PUYALSA rog, you will find that Gatva Sandhin Ashru Margen. This is the version given by Acharya Sushruta in Sushruta Samhita, not by Acharya Sushruta, it is by Videha. So, the Samprapti Vighatan, the process of Samprapti pathogenesis happened into Ashrumarg. It means Ashrumarg is the Ashay, is one of the cavity where this Samprapti pathogenesis takes place. And what is this, that Ashay? That you can take from the contemporary medical science, that Ashru Ashray, Ashru Marg, having one cavity is Ashru Ashay, that is a lacrimal sac which you should take from the contemporary modern science, and this pathogenesis is taking place in lacrimal sac where neither the pus comes down, drained through the nasolacrimal duct in the nasal cavity, nor it regurgitates back through the valve of Rosenberg and canalicules and through puncta in the inner canthus over the conjunctival sac. So it is entrapped in the lacrimal sac. That's why it's known as PUYALSA. So if we see the disease PUYALSA from all classical literature, Bhagavad and Sushruta Samhita's version has been replicated by the later acharyas. But if we take the concept of Sushruta Samhita, both the Bhagavad Samhita, then it will be much better understood. So here the Sandhi for the pathogenesis is Sandhija, Kaninak Sandhija. Puti is Durgandham, Ayam Sannipataja Sadhyam Vyadhi. And what does Bhagavad say? Puyalso Vrana Suksham Shofa Srambha Purvaka Kaninak Sandhi Admai Puyasravi Savedhanam. So here also the disease, look, the site of disease happening is the inner canthus of the eye, and there in the inner canthus the whole process takes place where there is a small ulcer which happens following the inflammation and following the redness of the inner canthus area, and there is a swelling or tenderness, admai. Shof, Sram and Adman leads to tenderness, and Savedhanam, it is painful. So again disease happens in the Kaninak Sandhi, and so in the Kaninak Sandhi, that Ashru Marg, the Ashru Ashray or the lacrimal sac in modern medical terminology is the site of this pathogenesis where inflammatory pathology is there, and due to that inflammation the lower drainage canal, that is nasolacrimal duct, as well as the upper lacrimal canaliculi gets obstructed. That's why the pus remains stagnated and trapped in the lacrimal sac, Ashru Marg. Then this disease happens to be there. So this is in a nutshell, this is the inflammatory condition Shofotpatti in Kaninak Sandhi. The pus gets stagnated, neither it goes down nor it comes up, and then this inflammation, when it goes to suppurative state and ultimately it gets suppurates, then it breaks up the wall of the lacrimal sac anteriorly, then the subcutaneous tissue is necrosed, then skin also gets necrosed, and the stagnated pus in the lacrimal sac, when after long time it will become thick, because most of its watery content will be absorbed by the peripheral tissue, and it will become thick, and due to the long standing putrefaction it will give a foul smell. That in nutshell happens to be the pathogenesis of this disease if we see Sushu Samhita and Bhagavad Samhita simultaneously. So what will be the clinical picture now? In clinical picture, very shortly they have given, but whole clinical picture which is given in these shlokas by Sushrut, by Bhagavad Ashtang Sangraha, Ashtang Hriday, then this clinical picture can be put like this. Vartam Sandho Kaninke Nasa Samipastha. In the inner canthus near the nasal bridge, Adau Shofah. Shof Srambha Purvakam. So the Ado Shof happens. A very earlier feature of Puyals will be Shof. That is the Amavastha of the Shof, where this color of the skin will be like the normal color. It will be very less painful inflammation, and the local temperature will also be very normal or slightly raised. Srambho tata saruk adman. Then after this amavastha of the shop, then it is followed by srambha. Tato saruk. Srambha means the inflammation increases and the area of the inflammation gets red colored, the temperature rises, and then there is a tenderness when this inflammation gives a pressure over the nerve endings of the skin and all other tissues. Then the inflamed area becomes like that of udar anaha, that is the local anaha of the lacrimal sac, and that will give a lot of pain, and that is the pachyamana avastha, the impending suppurative state. The earlier state was not suppurative, that was the early inflammatory state. The second stage is Pachyamana impending suppurative stage, where the acute pain is there, inflammation is there, burning sensation is there, redness on the inner canthus is there, and swelling aggravates, and patient also suffers from fever and thirst, and he also, due to these features, he also develops anorexia. He does not like to take any food due to the pain apprehension. Then if this stage is again ignored, then what will happen? Then the impending inflammation goes to the impending suppuration goes to the complete suppuration, and then when the suppuration of the lacrimal sac wall, subcutaneous tissue, and the skin tissue has already taken place, a lot of space has been created by the necrosis of the underlying tissues, then the built up pressure is released, and the inflammatory exudates, the watery contents also gets absorbed. In that condition, built up pressure gets reduced, and in that case pain subsides, and all features of Pakva Shofa, the suppurative, completely suppurative phase of the inflammation, takes place in the lacrimal sac and adjoining area with Vedana Upshamnam, and lesser, the color of the acute red color of the Srambha becomes less, it becomes a Pandu. It is bleached and the inflammation becomes less, and the area of the inflammation gets wrinkles, Balir Pradurbhava, and Mashk Jalvat Gati of the Puya can be seen by doing the fluctuation test with your index finger, and patient develops desire to take water and food also. And when this suppurative phase, Pakva Shopavastha, gets a Swayam Bhinno, it gets away itself, it breaks up the skin over of the area, then a Suksham Brana, a small ulcer will develop through which this thick pus, a putrefied pus will come out, and then the disease condition of Puyals is completely settled. Now come to the treatment. What is the line of treatment advocated in the classical literature? Puyalasa analabhapriyaye mantha sangya sendastu yanti upshamna mahi sira vedane. Friends, when you go by the version of Sushu Samhita, the concept of Vidyadipati Nimi, and the indication given the treatment is Sira Vedan. So we don't expect that in a case when there is a suppurative ulcer is there, if you will do only Sira Vedan, then disease will be cured. No, not at all. It cannot happen, because in that condition Vran has already settled. Now you have to do all Vran Chikitsa in that case. When this Sira Vedan is possible, is indicated in the very initial phase of Amavastha of Shofa. It is the treatment line in that phase. If you adopt this line of treatment in very early phase, then this is justified. Otherwise, in Pachyamanavastha even, this may help, may not happen, and most of the time it will not help. In that condition, you have to do other treatment, either to suppress the inflammation by doing local poultice, etc., etc., or to go for the Bhedan Chikitsa to treat it. So, Puyalse Shonit Mokshanam cha hitam tathaiv api upnaham cha kritsno vidishchayakshani pak ghati. See, in Sushut Uttar Tantra 12th chapter, again, along with the Sira Vedan, the single line of treatment given, the next indication is, along with Sira Vedan, you have to do all Kritsno Vidhi, all other methodology you have to adapt for Pak Ghat, to reduce the inflammation, to check the suppuration. And what are those? And what are these? Are these procedures? Upnahamiti Jatha Dosham. Shonit Mokshanam. For Shonit Mokshana also, you have to go for Sanesved Purvakam. Upnahamiti cha Datha Dosham. Pranashodhanam Chakshushya Dravya Krit Lepa Prabandhanam Kritsno Vidhir Anta Shuddhikaro Vair Shuddhikar Cha Ityartham Yatha Vidhinam Iti Vidhinan Nati Kramen Ityartham. So all procedure you have to adopt for the local treatment along with Sira Mokshan. But don't expect that when suppuration has already taken place, wound has already settled, then the Rakta Mokshan will only help. So this way the line of treatment has to be adopted. So now if you go by the stage wise treatment, then in Amavastha, Aptarpanam, this is the treatment of Amavastha of the Brana or Shofa. Aptarpana Adhyopakam Esha Sarv Shofanam Samanyam Pradhanatam. Aptarpanam Abhojanam Natu Yat Kinchit Ev Aptarpanam Bamnadi. Here the Aptarpan here means not only to abstain from food, whatever can reduce the Amavastha, that comes under the heading of Aptarpanam. It is of three types: Langhanam Pachanam, Dosha Avsechanam. Okay? The Dosha Avsechan can be local by bloodletting, by Brechan also, by Baman also, by all other procedures also, but Langhan Pachan and Langhan are also to be adopted. Then Visravanam, that I have already explained. So this can be done by Siraved as well as by Jaloka bhi. Prachann can also be done for Rakta Mokshanam procedure, and then application of the local drugs, and those drugs must be useful indicated for ocular treatment also. So avidagdham shamyanti vidagdham pakam cha iti. This is the beauty of this procedure. If it is in Pachyamanavastha, if it is in the very early stage of Pachyamanavastha, then avidagdham shamyanti, it will get cured, and vidagdham, if it has crossed the phase of Pachyaman phase and it has suppuration has already settled, then it will early resolve by completion of the Paka, and pus formation and all that will take place, and you can make a burn or by Bhedan, and you can treat it early. So this is again the treatment. And friends, the Shang Lep is one of the classical formulation which you can apply as a Upanaha in this condition also. Then in the Pachyamana so in Pachyamana phase, then Shanamul Shigrunam Falani Til Sarshapranam Shaktavah Kinvam Atsi Dravanam Ushnani Pachanam. So these drugs, these drugs are some are kinva, these are ferment material, shukta, and ushna drugs which are to be applied locally as a utkarita. You make a small like a coin, you make a small utkarika or a tablet, then place it on the and bandage it for in a lukewarm phase, then it will lead to the early pachan of the shofar. And in Pakavavastha, when it has already settled, then Snehan Svedan, then Anta Shuddhi Vrechan Karm, then Vahya Shuddhi Bhedan Karm. Pakvam va Vahiraruddho Bhittva Vranam Avacharet Anta Puyavakatreshu Yathev Utsanga Vat Suapi Gati Matsu Charogeshu Bhedanam Praptam Uchyate. Now, if it has not been ulcer is not spontaneous, then go for Bhedan, and Anta Puyavakatreshu. Then with a gauze piece, you have to go deep and cleanse the walls of that tract, wound tract, and all those pus pockets has to be removed. And then Vrana Shodhana Karma. These are the drugs which are indicated for Kshay, Shankhani, अंकोट सुमन करवीर सुवरचला शोधनानी क्षणनी वर्ग चार्गवद argvad group of drugs can be used for brana shodhan, and you can put a varti or kalk of these drugs, and some ushan tikshana or little kshar drugs can also be put in the first dressing of the varti, so that all pus pockets are dissolved and brana becomes the walls of the run becomes very healthy, and if healthy granulation will start earliest, then wound will be closed the earliest. Then you can apply this ointment Kasis Sindhu Pradurbhavas Kai Hitam Bhavet Anjane Vichatra Kshodranvitem Avirtho Upjunjyadantya tu Tamarayas Churun Yuktai. See, copper sulfate, the iron sulfate, these are the caustic drugs which has been indicated for the application over the wound, for which will protect all infections and will keep the wound very healthy also. So these ointments Raskriya can also be used. Then for the healing purpose, Kshayanam Anushananam Brikshanam Tvakshu Sadhitam Shritam Shitam Kshayacha Ropanarthate Shasyate. The for healing purpose, Kashaya is to be applied, but it should not be Ushana. And Panchkshiri Tvak Siddha medication and Ghrit can also be there, oil can also be there. you can use for the Ropanarth, and there are many drugs which are already available. Jatyadi Ghrit, Jatyadi Tel are the already prepared formulations, classical formulations which are available for Ropan Karm. And after the in Pakavavastha, what is the post treatment? So this is the post treatment regimen which has been pathya has been given. Sruteshu urdhvam adovapi mareya amal surasvi. So you have to do the shodhan mareya amal sura asvai. So the alcoholic the products has been indicated. Peyo Varunkas, Varuna is also one of the alcoholic product. Madhu Shigru Drumovapi. So you can use the Moringa oleifera in diet also. Shigru Mule Jalam Siddham Sa Siddharthakam Odanam. You prepare the rice out of the decoction of Shigru Mool Jalam. Yavkol Kulathanam Yushai Bhunjit Manavaha Prata Pratascha Sevet Matre Talvakam Ghritam. So Talvak Ghrit means thick Ghrit has to be taken very early morning. Trivitadi Ganakwatham Siddham Vapi Upshante. You can take Talvak Ghrit, you can take Trivitadi Ghrit also for the Paschatkaram. So this will heal the wound very properly in a given time. And even if the wound is not getting healed, even by adopting all this line of treatment, in Bhagavad Samhita in Akshi Pil Rog Pratishedh Adhyay, you see there is a one indication, small indication, if the wound is not getting healed, Puyalse tu ashante ante daha suksham shalakaya. See, if the sometimes if the walls of the deep wound, which is starting from the lacrimal sac to the skin, if the walls get epithelialized and they don't close, that is the condition where it acts like a sinus, and the disease has already been named as Netra Nadi. And in that condition, so ashante ante daha suksham shalakaya. So in case of non-healing, you cauterize the wound margins with a thin rod or a shalaka, and this will destroy the epithelialized wall of the sinus and it will heal very early. So Agni Karm is also the one of the last indication in case of non-healing of the ulcer. So friends, I can say with confidence, if we adopt this line then of teaching and understanding the concept of disease concept, then a single question of 20 marks can be attempted by only going through the Ayurveda concept of the disease. And if you agree, if you like, please give your comments so that other diseases can be explained on this line, and you also get initiated to understand this Samudravat Agad branch of Ayurveda, the Shalakya Tantra, by understanding, adopting this line. Thank you very much.